Yo, this is a new series. I'll be doing tier list every Thursday. Also, welcome. Technically, this is a face reveal video too. Let's say it was for 100 subs, but I mean, we're getting close to 200 now. Make sure that everything is recording on OBS and whatnot. Since the anime just finished yesterday, let's take a look at how each episode carried the narrative forward. I have a link in the description for this tier list, so you can make it, or you can use it if you want. Just make sure to tag me on Twitter and I'll take a look at it. Also, I feel like I have to say this, but this is what is called a subjective review. So these are my opinions and my opinions only. You can, do whatever you want. You can choose to believe whatever you want. Alright, so there's going to be 5 categories that I'll use to figure out the rankings of these episodes. Animation, story, pacing, adaptation, and exclusives. I'll explain more about what each category is later. For anyone who's new, my name is Inspirational. I do videos on several webtoon series. One of them, of course, being Tower of God. Most of my videos are spoilers, so if you haven't caught up on the webtoon, go read it, or at least read season 1. I have a series on cut content for the anime and what the anime actually cut. So yeah, you can check it out. I'll put that in the description. Alright, that's a long enough intro. Let's begin. Oh, JK, quick thing. There should be timestamps in the play bar itself, so skip around if you want to about each episode. I haven't done a live video before, so I have a few notes up here. I'm sure you can see me looking down at them and not looking at the camera, but it's to keep me organized so I don't ramble on forever. And ideally, I would like as few edits as possible to make the sound more organic, but we'll see. So let's talk about the different categories. So we have animation, which encompasses the art style, how the fights were sequenced, and the backgrounds for the episode. Story covers world building, character development, and growth, as well as the dialogues for each character. Pacing is probably the most straightforward, and it's just how well the episode presented its information in a somewhat timely manner. Adaptation is what is cut from the webtoon, and if that actually had a significant impact in the story. And then last but not least, we have exclusives, which is anime only content, and if that was enough to outweigh the cut content. So obviously each of these categories will be linked to one another, and I'll try to rate them fairly. In my opinion, with each category getting up to 2 points. So we have pretty standard tiers here. We got S, A, B, C, and D, each one with 2 points. So D is 0 to 2, C is 2 to 4, B is 4 to 6, A is 6 to 8, and then S is 8 to 10. And then on those middle points, if we have like one that's 8 or 6 or 4, we do, then I'll just pick a place for it. Alright, so let me know what your thoughts on these categories. I wanted to include sound, but Kevin Benkin's OSTs are amazing, and I don't know much about sound design, so I'm just gonna leave it out. But let me know if you would have added or removed some of these categories for something else. Now, with all the explanation out of the way, let's get to the episode itself. As you can see, I have them listed out pretty chronologically, and I just took the pictures from CrunchyRoll, like the standard pictures, and that's why you see the little the little crown for episode 13 here. So episode 1 is titled The Ball, and it was a total of 6 chapters from chapters 0 to 6. Technically, chapter 0 is the prologue, so I'm not really going to count it. I'm going to go over 3 pros and then 3 cons, and then we'll give the rating for it. So some of the pros, we had the Jihad crest on the 13-month weapons, which was important because characters could easily identify these swords / needles / hooks, etc. Like these important weapons, which is a cool look. Also the break scene where Bomb tries to break the ball about 9 times. This was interlaced with, the first time that the audience sees Rachel, which I thought was really well done. Compared to him, I think in the webtoon his needle got stuck, but this break scene was kind of more impactful, and that caused the eel to wake up, which was really good continuity. And then easily my favorite scene is the wheat scene where Bomb makes it to the 2nd floor, and then he tries out some of the wheat, because he's never seen that in his life. All he's seen is rocks and caves. Some of the cons, we have Yuri. We lost her staircase slash what Yuri and Evan talked about at the end of chapter 6. This is important because we find out what kind of person Yuri is. She's curious, and she's lax, and she doesn't really care about anything. Like, she'll do what she wants to do. And then we have Hidon's line to Rachel that was lost, which was really good foreshadowing for chapter 77, when we see that extension of that scene. This is where Hidon in the webtoon said, the boy went up. What will you do? And then, like, overall, Bomb just seemed a little nervous and afraid, which is understandable because it's his first time at the tower, but it was really exaggerated in the webtoon, or in the anime. So my rating for this is a 1, and the 1 point total goes to exclusives because of the scenes that we had for the Jihad's Crest and the break scene. So since it's 1, we're starting off strong. I mean, anime onlys might think of this differently because, you know, they've never seen the material before, but for webtoon readers like myself, like, this was so fast, like too fast. Alright, let's get to episode 2. Episode 2 is titled 3 out of 400, and it roughly covers the same amount, or same number of chapters, 6 chapters, from chapter 6 to 11. Some of the pros were that Bomb, when Kun asked, you know, did you kill anyone or something, Bomb says probably not, which adds a lot of intrigue because it gives us foreshadowing that, you know, Bomb doesn't remember his past, and he's pretty open about it. Kun actually outsprouting Rock was also a cool moment by putting his cape over him and then, you know, decking him on the side. That was cool. And then our last bit was the Black March actually getting wrapped up. This was something that the webtoon forgot to show us, and this was something that the anime actually corrected, which was great. And this part was when they passed the first test, which was the culling, and then they enter the thing for the wall test, or pre-test almost, and oh, we got it wrapped up. So some of the cons was that Rock, this was after 200 regulars were dead and they had to form a team. Bomb in the webtoon was more inquisitive because, you know, he has a lot of questions, so he asks Rock what it means to hunt and why he wants to hunt Bomb, and Bomb realizes that it's only the weapon. So in the webtoon, he actually has this little smile as he tosses the sword away, which we lose in the anime. Bomb just kind of throws it away, and then Kun's like, oh, this is smart, well, whatever. And then before this entire thing was happening, they were talking about, or Bomb and Kun were talking about how they needed to capture Rock, because that's the only way that they would have him team up. And then Rock comes in and he says, catch who? He's the hunter. So, I mean, I thought that was a really cool moment in the webtoon that we never got. And then the last bit, Bomb taking action. So they cut down the scene for fighting from like 55 seconds to 10 seconds, and in the last 5 seconds, we have Bomb run in towards Kun. So in the webtoon, Kun actually throws his knife to deflect the spear that Rock threw at him so that Bomb could get closer. In this one, it just looked like Bomb kind of acted pretty cool, which is kind of out of character at this point as he charges in and touches Rock. So, I don't really know. So this overall, I'll give it a 6. So this is in that border. So we have 1.5 for the animation, 1 for the story, 1 for the pacing, 0.5 for the adaptation. I mean, that was lower because, again, like, we don't get the proper characteristics of Bomb on what he is. He's not, you know, dumb, right? He's naive and he's wanting to ask questions. But the exclusive stuff, so the stuff that they added, like Kun outsmarting Rock and the Black March getting wrapped up, was really good. So that's a 2. It's a total of 6. Let's see. The 2, 4, 5. So technically it would be between C and B. I'll put it in B because it was a little better to me. Alright. Episode 3 is called The Correct Door. We get only 4 chapters, so from chapters 11 to 15. Some of the pros we got is that Bomb actually says when he gets, while they're waiting after the, whole wave test, Bomb asks, I hoped they were visible from here. So he was talking about the stars and how Kun says that the sky is fake and there's not actual stars there. This line that Bomb says is important because he had hoped that Rachel didn't have to go all the way up the tower to see the stars, right? Maybe she could just see him here on the second floor and then they can go back to the cave. The whole Maria thing was awesome. I loved how they gave Kun, more emotions, and we see a new side of him as he snaps against the neon plastic bag. That was really, really dope. And then the chibi forms, or the small forms, with the crown game conditions, all the way at the end of this episode. They show us the winning condition where Bomb has to stay on the throne, and then they show us the losing condition where Small Bomb throws away the crown. And I thought that was really good foreshadowing for what will actually happen in an episode or two. Some cons were, I didn't really like the pit that they showed in the correct door. The test that An Sung-yu did, I mean, the pit where they showed the irregulars dying, there was no need. I mean, we heard the scream, so that should have been enough. And then we had Quant, where we get the cut towards Rachel, Ghost, and Androsi. Quant was playing kind of innocent, saying, oh, I don't know if there was a princess, or I don't know if there was an irregular, even though he should have a list of all the people that are taking the test, so he should know that. And then we have Shibusu's line that I thought was really impactful. Shibusu in the webtoon talks about how the most humble person is the scariest, and this would apply to Bomb, which kind of shows, again, more foreshadowing to it. So even though there were some minor cons, I thought this episode was pretty good overall. I'll give it a 6.5. Let's see, what did I rate it? So I gave it a 1 for animation, a 1.5 for story, a 1 for pacing, a 1 for the adaptation, and then a 2 for exclusives, because Bomb's point about seeing the stars and Kun's not really change in character, but expansion of the character was really well done. Alright, episode 4, The Green April. So this was 6 chapters, so we went back to our general quota of chapters. This was from chapter 16 to 22. Some of the pros were Shibusu versus Serena. That was a really well executed fight, and that entire sequence was done. I really liked the Kun and Loru parallel, while they both were talking about, like, let's wait this out, let's attack in the right time. And we kind of got like this back and forth between Kun and Loru, showing off their intellectual prowess. And then the Green April ignition was amazing. It moved very unnaturally, and it had pretty odd shapes, which was cool to see. Some of the cons were we missed, to me, Rock's most important line, that the game doesn't start without him when Anak challenges them. And then in the webtoon, I feel that Hots was more threatening to Loru, because Loru was just sleeping on the battlefield during, I think this was round 2 here, and Hots in the webtoon actually drew a highest flying sword on him, ready to kill him, and that's when Loru wakes up. And then another con was we didn't see Bomb's luck. So we saw Bomb's luck get tested maybe 1-2 episodes ago with the wall test, and then it should have happened again in the 3rd round, where all 4 of these regulars kind of attack, Bomb is in the middle, and they happen to cancel out. This would have been showing us the personification of luck that Bomb has within him. So because of all these changes, and we lose a pretty big important part for Rock and Bomb, who are, our main trio, I'll give it a 3.5. I give it a 1 for animation, 1 for story, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5 for pacing, for what am I looking for? Adaptation and exclusiveness. Pretty even spread so far. So episode 5 is called The Crown's Fate. So we got 4 chapters this time. We got from chapters 23 to 26, and some of the pros were Hwarang going off. I loved her character design. I loved how she moved. I loved how Rock had that little surprise face as Hwarang went for his head. I love how she fought against Androsi, and I actually liked how she kind of gave Rachel some time to dodge, which we didn't really see in the webtoon. Because of the continuity effects, we had in round 4 that Kun used his 3 that were hidden in the briefcase, and in round 5, the dog and whatever in the anime actually said to Hwaring, "Are you with them too?" Which kind of was a pretty nice nuance to it, and I really enjoy that. And then we had Black March stop the flow of time. I mean, yes, Bomb looked pissed off, like ready to kill someone, which is a little out of character, but I think that this unique Black March, I think at the time, I thought this was how they would represent reverse Shinso flow, and they made Black March have reverse Shinso flow, which is kind of dope. This episode was great. Some of the cons we had was that Yuri should have been ready to fight Evanko, but lose. And we had that commentary about how Evanko is a high ranker and no one can really, you have to bring an army to take her out, which we actually see when Jihad brings an army in season 2. And then we have Bomb's explosive Shinso, super explosive Shinso, this golden Shinso that goes everywhere and only hits, Hwaring in the eye. It felt off. It was flashy and shonen and not Bomb. And then we missed the bathroom scene, so Kun should have went to the bathroom before the crown game actually started to take the 3 out. We kind of just gloss over that fact, and they kind of appear in round 4, so it didn't feel as full compared to the webtoon. So I'm giving it a 7. So let me see, I think that was higher than 3, because I think for episode 3, let's see, I think episode 3 was a 6.5, so I'll put 5 closer to that. So I gave it a 2 for story, a 1.5, or sorry, 2 for animation, a 1.5 for story, 1 for pacing, 0.5 for adaptation, because Bomb shouldn't be that pissed and that explosiveness. And then I gave it 2 for exclusive because of all the pros that I mentioned. Alright, so episode 6, I'm gonna just let you know, this was my favorite episode. This position selection was from chapters 27 to 33. It was a total of 7 chapters. So some of the pros were, well, 1, we have no ED. We didn't have dumb, dirty Rachel taking up 2 minutes of time. Bomb actually asks about Rachel when he wakes up from the crown game. So in the webtoon, when Bomb woke up, he asked, "Oh, what happened to the test?" But the anime corrects this because Bomb shouldn't care about the test. He should care about Rachel. So I was really happy with the studio's decision here. And then we had this really cute moment of Kun actually buying Bomb his fresh jacket that he puts on. So that was all dope. Some of the cons were that Rock was kind of scared when he was taking the Spearbearer test, and Ghost doesn't even give him a chance to miss. I don't know, it felt off. And the things about points, yes, they expanded more on points, but I mean, in the end, these points didn't really matter because they already knew who was going to win. And then we had the injury. I'm going to be real. For this third con, I kind of just made it up. Yeah, I didn't really have 3 cons for this. So yeah, this is a 10. So 2 across the board. I love this episode because it had a lot of character interactions, but it also gave some, highlights for our main trio. Alright, episode 7, Lunch and Tag. So we got 5 total chapters adapted. This was from chapters 33 to 37. So the studio does an amazing job with 2 things for sure. Backgrounds and backstories. So we had 2 backstories here, the princess's backstory and the Ho's backstory. That was awesome. I really enjoyed both of these backstories as they expanded on it and kind of had this nice grainy effect, especially for Hose. And then, the pillow scene was nice, where Bomb shows off that he can be resourceful while being pretty, slow in other points, as he helps Loru get his pillow back. Some of the cons is because of the pillow scene, we didn't get any Shinso explanation of the system of bangs or whatnot. If they're trying to make it more shonen, they should have the power system explained, right? And then Bedridden Androsi was kind of a shame because this is where she bonded with Bomb for the first time alone. And then we lost Bomb's line when he was talking to Kun before Shibusu and Hats came. So Bomb asks, "Can everyone be happy? Is there any way that it's possible?" Kun says, I don't really know. Maybe the god up there can make it happen. We should ask him. I felt that was really cool foreshadowing that we lost. So I'm gonna give this a 7. So I gave it a 1.5 for animation, a 2 for story, a 1 for pacing, 0.5 for adaptation, because we didn't get Bomb's little thing and we didn't get the Shinso explanation, and then a 2 for exclusives because of the backstory. Since it's tied with 5 and 7, I'll put them right there. Alright, so episode 8 is Kun's strategy. Technically, in my mind, Kun's strategy came later, but whatever. So this was a total of 6 chapters from 37 to 44. Some of the pros was the structure of the arena of the hide and seek was awesome. I really enjoyed how they changed it from, tall columns to more spirals, and we saw the elevator used multiple times. I think that was cool. Then another pro was that Bomb actually asked Androsi if Michelle Light would pass, because Rachel/Michelle Light wasn't even in the room watching Team A, and Androsi says, do you want that to happen? And he doesn't answer, which was kind of cool. And then the pulley where they got rid of the suspendium but used the green April itself as a pulley. I thought that was a fantastic use of that by not adding too much more fluff. I mean, it's not fluff, but I thought that was cool. Some cons were, Kwan's intensity in general. He was kind of lame. Ranker is a ranker. He's supposed to be special. He made it to the top, and he feels lackluster in the anime. I don't really have the proper words to say that, other than that he was lackluster. Also, Shibusu versus Kwon was kind of simplified, to say the least. Shibusu wasn't holding on to Kwon out of desperation, but he was holding on to him so he couldn't use the black flashes or something where he can go invisible by using Shinso, because he was holding on to the leg. And then we missed the fall dialogue, where they kind of use the play on words about falling, where Kun and Quant have banter, and in the end, Quant falls. So I'll give this a 5.5. So a 1 in animation, a 1 for story, a 0.5 for pacing, because I didn't feel that good pacing wise, a 1 for adaptation, and then a 2 for how they use the pulley system and how they change the structure of the arena. We're getting to the last 5. More than half done, so you can see how it's pretty top heavy at the moment. So episode 9 was a 1-horned ogre. So this was a total of 8 chapters, so this is the most we've ever had so far, and this covered from chapters 44 to 56. So some of the pros were Androsi's backstory was awesome. We actually saw the blood of the little girls. It was heavily implied that she might have killed off everyone, but we could see the blood stained on the walls, which was dope. Reverse Shinso flow, how it was, adapted, was awesome. It was like a bubble that pops, that freezes people. That was really cool. And then, Ghost confused me, and I like that. I like that a lot. Ghost did not play as he would have in the webtoon. He straight up disappeared when Rachel got stabbed. That was awesome. I really enjoyed that. One of the biggest cons that I felt in the entire story was the lack of a safety zone. The safety zone sucked. Or the fact that the safety zone wasn't in the anime sucked. It took away a lot of tension. There was a reason why Quant couldn't go and save Rachel himself, because the safety zone prevented rankers from getting in there. So Bomb had to do it by himself, and we didn't get that. It kind of made Quant look like a little tool. Another con was how we lost, what's his face? Hots describe what a ranker is. It's a different species than anything in this tower. That is what a ranker is. Kind of really put in the pressure for it, and that was missing as well. And then we got, a short revolution. It's a shame that we didn't get more of the revolution, I'll be honest. So this gets a 2. So it gets a 0 in both animation and in story. A 1 for pacing because it did flow well. I will give it that. 0 for adaptation because we don't have any of the safety zone, and then a 1 for the exclusive stuff because of Ghost and the backstory. Where are we? 10? Alright, Beyond the Sadness. So this was also 8 chapters from chapters 56 to from chapters 52 to 58. Some of the pros were the FUG hint with the drawing on the wall when Bomb was going to talk to the administrator. I thought that was really cool, and we only got snippets of it in the webtoon, and I never made the link until the anime showed us the full drawing. It kind of looked like FUG Slayer symbols. O's death and her funeral was awesome as well. I really liked that extension because it was only like 2 panels in the webtoon itself. And then Serena's send-off was really sweet. We had Laurel acknowledge and thank Serena, and then Serena and Shibuya have a nice moment and she gives him his knife. Those were really great. But the cons were really bad. Kun's plan flashback was terrible. Absolutely terrible. A lot of people that I put the show on told me, yo, why is Kun the one doing the letter? Like, gave Ho the letter, and it wasn't Kun. Kun was taking a copy of it to use as evidence, and that wasn't explained that well. I think the webtoon explained Kun's entire plan or strategy, as one of the title of the episode are, really well. Another con is Han Sung-yu's stance. He tells Leroro that this is how we weed out dangers to the tower, and it's a shame that we don't get that, because frankly Han Sung-yu's real stance is what Leroro discussed, not what he spouted just for jihad sake. And then we got the bad acting at the end, where they found out immediately that Kun and Rock were acting to get them to help Bomb. It's a shame. I gave this a 1.5, so I'll give it a 1 for the animation because it was done beautifully, and then a 0 for everything else except for the exclusiveness, because I have to give O and Serena send off something. So there we have it, 1.5. That goes in the middle over there. Alright, episode 11, Underwater Hunt Part 1. So this was whopping 10 chapters from 58 to 67, and to be honest, with the 10 chapters, this is the one that felt the best flowing. Let me be real. We get Rachel's chance. This added a lot of, humanity to Rachel, because it felt like she was wavering, and Han Sung-yu was giving her that final push to push Bomb next episode. Ren was creepy and amazing. I loved Ren. Ren was done really well. And then we actually have Serena's knife used by Shibuya, although it didn't do anything. At least it was used, so that was cool payoff. The biggest thing is we missed Han Sung-yu's reveal that he planned everything. Rachel's in a wheelchair because of him. Bomb is in this situation because of him. And, we have no back and forth with Bomb saying that the trash up there isn't worth it. And then the bull felt a little underwhelming, I'll be real. He was scary, but not that. Last but not least, at first I had these fishermen, so this was Kanko and Belrogue, in a pro, because I thought they would die, and I thought that would be the consequence of taking Bomb's test. But then, they miraculously lived, so there's no tension. Who cares if they got eaten in half and they somehow survived? Perfectly fine. It was kind of crazy. But anyways, so I gave this a 6. So I gave it a 0.5 for the animation. I gave it a 1.5 for the story because, this was good. It was good. A 2 for the pacing, because again, even with 10 total chapters, it flowed pretty well. And then a 1 and a 1 for the adaptation and exclusiveness. And since this is on a border, I don't think it was as good as number 2, episode 2, so I'll bring it down to C. Episode 12, Underwater Hunt Part 2. So this was the big push. We had 8 chapters from chapter 67 to 74. Again, the push is the highlight of this season. It had to be done well, and it was done well. The glow of the hands that Bomb saw finally mentioned the Thorns container and that power that was surging through them. That was cool. And Yuri was done really well. She was really a powerhouse, and she took out everything. But the biggest cons were some of my favorite characters getting shafted. Androsi has been getting shafted left and right. We miss her training montage and the talk about loneliness with Bomb and how she doesn't feel lonely when she's with Bomb. And then Hot Sling had too much of the this Maria plotline. Granted, Maria is important, but she isn't relevant for hundreds and hundreds of chapters. And why would Hatsling know about Maria? I mean, that doesn't really make sense. And then finally, Corden. Corden is a really cool wave controller. He uses a hammer. He uses that to create pressure in the Shinso, and then he uses it to assassinate enemies with the combination of light bear, obviously, but that complexity was missing. We never got that. Instead, in the anime, Corden just jumps from the air and squishes Ren. It's alright. It was okay. But the push was good, so this does get bumped up to a C. So I gave it a 2 for the animation, because again, the flow, the fish was done wonderfully. 0.5 for the actual story, because, I mean, 2 for pacing. A 0 for the adaptation, because Corden and Androsi and Hatsling got screwed. And then I give it at least a 0.5 for exclusiveness because of the glow. That was nice. And then the last one, episode 13, Namesake Tower of God. This is a bad episode. I did not like it. It was only 4 chapters. So chapters 75 to 78. I loved it because of Rachel and how complex and nuanced she was, and we really got to see a lot of her, which was cool. We saw Rock and Androsi in the post-exam meeting, which was cool because we got to hear Rock scream and Androsi interacting with Paracool, getting pissed off about him not caring about Bomb, which is all great additions. And then we have a pretty nice shot of Leivero really looking down on Han Sang-yu and saying, well, I'm out, screw this. But the biggest cons, oh my gosh, Bomb at the end when Hwoarang gets to him, he's just like, alright, I'll climb. Dude, it was bad. Bomb shouldn't care about climbing. He should be heartbroken and feel the pain and the betrayal, which I felt in the webtoon. That it was terrible. I really didn't like it because of that. I mean, wait, it's going down here. I know. I gave it a 2. Wait, let me finish out all the cons. So we didn't get the line about Han Sang-yu saying that his teammates, his position, his friends, his everything, I'll steal it all when he talks to Rachel. And then we lost the point about using night as a word. It was a big missed opportunity. That Rachel doesn't say she's afraid of the night or afraid of the Yoru in the Japanese. What's the point of changing Bomb's name to Yoru if you're not using it in the context of it? But whatever. So this was a 2. I gave it a 1 for animation because the backgrounds were amazing and Rachel and everything was great. A 0 for the story because Bomb sucked. And then 0.5 for pacing because it was only 4 chapters. It should have felt nice, but it didn't. 0 for adaptation because again, Bomb got shafted and butchered at the end. And then a 0.5 for exclusiveness. I will give it to them that Rachel was handled really well, especially at this end. Alright, well that's all for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you want to see this again. Let me know how I can improve. I'll try to not have as much of a script next time, so I'm not looking down and looking up, looking down. I know I have to work on that. First video that I have to record myself, so it's gonna be rough. So it is what it is. I tried rehearsing this a little bit. Was not going well. That one. So the music playing in the background is called Stream Beats. You can find that in the description. Copyright free music. Sounded not too bad. So I don't hate the animation, right? I enjoy that this studio animated this amazing series so that we got these characters animated. That was awesome. Overall for the story or for the entire season, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. It was just enough to get people to the webtoon, which is a 10 out of 10, which is amazing. All right. Yeah, that's it. Peace.